Good morning, student. Welcome to SJC online classes. I'm B. Chatterjee, your commerce teacher. Today, we are going to start the chapter Factors of Production in Economics. The chapters is big, may not be finished in one part. We may go for 2 or 3 parts to make you understand in a proper way. But please keep it in mind that this chapter is very, very important from exam point of view. And if you see the board question paper for previous 3 to 5 years, you may find that every year the question comes from this chapter. So you can understand what is the importance of this chapter. So let's start it. The factors of production. Here, first let me brief you what is production. It's an economic activity. Whenever we produce something, manufacture something, we need certain factors which will help us to make the production in a proper way. What are those factors? That's the main discussion. First, 4 factors are there in factors of production. One is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. These 4 factors that will help us to make the production. Let's take the first factor, that is land. Land means what? Here in economics, land means not only the empty land, which is lying beside us. Land means the agricultural land, the mining, the lands which are used for construction of factory sheds and everything, all includes in land. So many scholars have defined land. You may find it here that land is a specific factor, or that is the specific element in a factor, or again it is the specific aspect of a thing. Land is the main thing. Without land, you cannot do anything. You cannot construct a factory in the air. You cannot do agriculture without land. So that is the prime factor. What are the characteristics of land? If you see, the characteristics of land is a free gift of nature. Nobody can produce land. It's a free gift of nature. What we are doing, we are using this land as per our convenience, as per our need. If we do the agriculture, we are using the land and we are making the land for agricultural purpose. When we do the manufacture or manufacturing something, we are doing the factory sheds. That means nature has given us land, but we are using this land as per our convenience, as per our needs. Supply of land is fixed. As I mentioned earlier, you cannot produce land. It's a nature gift. It's a fixed. And we have to use that land as per our requirement. difference in fertility. You may find in some land, the agriculture grows like anything. Certain lands are not fertile. If you put all your efforts, if you put all your fertilizers, if you put all your labors, then also you may not get that much of return so far as agriculture is concerned. That means the land is different as per its fertility. Land is an indestructibility factor. What does it mean? Land, man can change the shape of the land. Man can change the nature of the land. But it cannot be destroyed. It cannot be destroyed. You can change it as per your requirement. You can change the shape, but you cannot destroy it. Immobility. Immobility means you cannot move. It's not a mobile factor. You cannot move that land. It's fixed. If you want that, I will take this land to some other places as per my requirement and convenience, you cannot do that. It's an immobile factor. As I mentioned earlier, is a primary factor of production. Without land, you cannot do anything. You cannot produce anything. If you have labor, if you have capital, if you have excellent entrepreneurial skills, then also you cannot do anything unless you have a piece of land. It's a passive factor of production. What does it mean? Why it is called passive factor of production? Because land cannot do on its own. If you have a piece of land, that land cannot do anything unless you put efforts on it. It cannot produce agriculture. It cannot construct a factory. Even if you want to do mining, then also you have to dig the land with machineries and labor. That is called, it is a passive factor of production. Effect of laws of return. Since land is fixed factor of production, the laws of returns are more effectively applicable on it. It increased use of capital labor on a particular plot of land leads to an increase in crop production. What does it mean? More and more you put labor and capital, the land will give you more return. It is up to you. How much you are going to get from that land, so far as economically return is concerned, that is up to you. You can use for any purpose of the land. What are those purposes? You can use it, as I mentioned, you can use it for cultivation, for poultry, for building, and so many other things. Land is heterogeneous. These are the characteristics of land. Land, like other factors of production, differs from another in respect of location, fertility, and nature and productivity. Suppose here you are doing something in a land. It may not be so fertile. It may not be so good for agriculture. But the same land in some other area, other place, may give you more productivity. Clear? So that means what we understand now, that for any production, land is the primary factor. That is first factor. Clear? The functions of land, that is also equal to the characteristics. The manufacturing industries, the agriculture industries, they all require land. If you want to do some power industry, as we have seen, the thermal power, the hydroelectricity power, then also land is required. For thermal power, coal is required. From where coal will come? Coal will come from land. We are digging down in the land to get the coal, which will be used for thermal power production. Same thing, hydel power, the hydroelectricity. The river, that is also part of land, as I mentioned in the beginning. Land doesn't mean that it's only the land, the empty land or something. The mining fields, the river, the lakes, that also considered land in economics. It's a basis of employment. Why it is called basis of employment? Whenever you do some factory for production, whenever you do some agricultural industry, some power industry, what you require? You require manpower, which gives the employment. So land gives employment to so many people. It's a basis of transport. The road, railway, whatever you have seen, we are using every day. That's also part of land. It's a basis of trade. If we talk about the economic growth of a country, whenever the production comes, the employment grows, the generation of money will come. The government will get more and more revenue. The entire, what will happen? The entire economic growth of a country grows. If you see where there is no land or some desert area where nothing can be produced, on those parts, the economic growth is very less. Why? We cannot use that land as per our requirement. We cannot construct a factory. We cannot do the agriculture. So unless there is a production, how we can give the employment? And unless we give employment, how the economic growth will happen? Clear? This is the factors affecting the productivity of land. Already we have mentioned the fertility of land, proper use of land, location of land, all these things. Land is the basis. It's a passive factor. It will not give anything unless you put efforts on it. You have to put best technology, best machinery, efficient labor to get the best out of that land. Clear? There are so many types of lands are there, as I mentioned: residential, commercial, recreation, cultivation, extraction, and uninhabitable. So for the first factors of production, what we understand, the production is an economic activity where we are producing something with the inputs. What are the inputs we are giving? For agriculture, we are giving some inputs: fertilizers, labors, some good technology. And for production in the factory, we have to construct a factory which gives the employment of the people, and economic growth comes from there. This is the first factors of production, and that is the primary factors of production.